Hey, this is Mr. Ward, and this is Do Now 34.1 for Algebra. This video will be for A and B. For D block, this will be Do Now 34.2 because of the timing of blocks and so forth this week. So I'll label this A block, and our first question is, we need to find the x-intercepts of this function, y equals x squared plus 3x minus 88. And I've given you a reminder. To find the x-intercepts of a quadratic, one method is to factor it and set the function to equal to 0. And then you use the zero product property. So let's try factoring it. We need two factors of negative 88. We have negative 88 here. And those factors need to add up to 3. Okay, so one of those factors will be positive, and one of those factors will be negative. Wow, that was an exciting little adventure with the pen. So as I was saying, one of the factors will be positive, one will be negative, now that I've fixed all that mess. And let's think about factors of 88 that would add up, negative 88 that would add up to 3. And a way to think of this is, since they're going to be opposites, think of two factors of 88 that are 3 apart from each other. And a pretty obvious set of factors is 11 and 8. So if we use positive 11 and negative 8, that's going to do the job. Okay, so we're going to have x minus 8 and x plus 11. I can just put the variables right in there since this is not one that has a lead coefficient over 1. It's very simple to do it that way. So when I factor it, I get x plus 11 times x minus 8. And then I'm going to make the function equal to 0. So y equals 0. And when y equals 0, that is the x-axis. Y equals 0 is the x-axis. And so now we just need to figure out what x value would make either one of these linear factors equal to 0. So I'm going to blow that up a little bit so we can see it better. So if x was negative 11, negative 11 plus 11 would be 0. So negative 11 is one of our x-intercepts. So x equals negative 11. And if x were 8, x minus 8 would be 0. And that would make the whole thing 0 because 0 times anything is 0. So x equals 8. So our x-intercepts are negative 11, comma 0, and 8, comma 0. Now to find the y-intercept, I should not say intercepts, the y-intercept of a quadratic, you want to replace x with 0 and see what the function equals. And so what that ends up meaning is, if we're thinking of the standard form of a quadratic, where it's ax squared plus bx plus c, the ax squared and the bx are just going to go poof, and all you're going to be left with is c, because x is going to be 0. And 0 squared plus 3 times 0 is nothing, and then it's minus 88. I'll just show you what that's going to look like here. So we're just trying to find out what y is when x is 0. So I'm going to replace x with 0 here, and I'm going to replace x with 0 here. And so that's just going to be a whole lot of 0 minus 88. So that's just 0 plus 0. So that's 0 minus 88. So that's just minus 88. So the y-intercept is going to be at 0, comma, negative 88. Okay. Now, just a reminder, the standard form is x squared. So it's ax squared plus bx plus c. Since b and a are multiplied times x in some way, if x was 0, they don't matter. So our y-intercept, in fact, in the standard form is always going to be 0, comma c. Whatever c is in the standard form, the y-intercept is that. That's how you always find the y-intercept, by the way. You just replace x with 0 and find out what the function equals. And that will be true for every function you will ever deal with. Now, in the quadratic function y equals x squared plus x minus 12, what are a, b, and c? And I've put this little reference tool for you here, the standard form. That's a, that's b, and c. So, of course, in this case, we don't have any number there in front of those x terms. So let's figure out what number is in front of them. Well, 1 is in front of them. So a equals 1, b equals 1 as well, and c equals, now careful here, negative 12. Since it's subtraction, I'm going to be doing negative 12 for c. Okay. Now I'm going to copy that into the next one, because in the next one, I'm asking you to work out what b squared minus 4ac is. Okay. So, and if you can figure out the whole thing, that's great too. So b squared, I'm going to copy b squared minus 4ac. Okay. So that's b squared minus 4ac. So I'm going to replace b with 1. And then a is 1 as well. And then c is negative 12. So let's work all that out. That's 1. And then minus 4 times negative 12 is going to be minus negative 48. And that's 48. And that's going to be 1 plus 48, because minus a negative is addition of a positive. So we get 49. That's what b squared minus 4ac is. Now, if I wanted to go all the way through this whole thing, let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and set this up. Negative, actually, you know, I think I'll do this in a Desmos. That will work even better. So let me go to a Desmos here after I remind myself what A, B, and C are. I'm just going to copy that. We'll go into a Desmos, and you can always do this. Here we go. So note that that's what A, B, and C are. And now we're gonna set up the quadratic formula. So x is equal to negative b plus or minus, I'm just going to be the plus version, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I'm going to make that bigger. Okay, so b is 1. So I'm just going to go through and systematically replace things. So b will be 1, wherever it shows up. A will be 1 as well. And c will be negative 12. We've already worked out that everything inside here is 49. 1 minus negative 48. 1, I'll just go ahead and say that, minus negative 48 became 49. And down here we can clean that up. I don't need my parentheses anymore. And now this is why there's the plus or minus. I'm going to be getting the square root of 49. So when I do that, I'm going to have a plus version and a minus version. So the square root, this is where it'd be useful to go ahead and set up the minus version. Square root of 49 is negative 7, and it's 7. Okay, so now I can simplify that. Desmos has already done that for me. You can see it's giving me what it equals, but I'm going to go ahead and walk through it all the way. So negative 1 plus 7 is 6. 6 over 2 is 3. And then negative 1 minus 7 is 8. Negative 8, I should say, and negative 8 over 2 is negative 4. And those are the solutions when you use the quadratic formula. It is as simple as that. All right. So that is what I wanted to tell you, and I hope that was helpful.